Okay.
Warming up.
Warming up on a rainy night.
Mm-hmm. Oh crap! Close my
You
browser.
close the browser. It happens. And then it's like there's a command to reopen a closed window, but you have to open a window, a browser window to get it
Okay,
to
there.
look.
Brightening's much better.
Mm.
So it's as bright as this, but the background's still bright. So
Mm-mm.
it's not as dark overall. I think we're getting the nice lighting.
Oh
Ah!
no, sound! Oh no! Oh, bro! Echo! Echo! Echo!
Yeah, there. I'm liking the lighting. It's still a bit dark, but it's much better than the previous. Hey, Kenny, warming up during this cold weather. That's true. Mitch says hi as well. Hey, Mitch.
So, guys, welcome back to GCQ with heightened restrictions, which is somehow slightly different from GCQ with some restrictions. Ayah. Ayah.
I hope the lights flickery.
You want to switch to the port?
I'll switch it real quick. Expect blackout, blackout, blackout.
I knew you were going to say blackout, blackout, blackout. Okay, we're back. Oh, we have Dane. He likes the new setup. Thank you. It's a new camera. Noel's here. Mitch is like, I know difference. I only know my gym is closed again, so that's one difference. And then kids can't go out again because they were previously allowing people below 18 to like go to outdoor spaces.
Yeah, it's confusing what the rules are. I don't really think about that anymore.
Blackout, blackout.
I just accept the fact that we're still where we are. Anyway,
Yes. Anyway. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo.
so we'll be starting much sooner because we did start late.
Yeah, sorry, we were watching The Circle, which
We're
is appropriate for like a dating
we're
episode
so
today.
we're super addicted to the circle, and as much as we'd like to joke about how it's not a fun show, but it is.
No, it is. It's too, and I think because this week's been super stressful. So like, I want to finish. We're still trying to finish season 2
Mm-hmm.
of his Dark Materials,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't have the brain power to handle it,
Mm.
even with Lin Manuel Miranda. So
Yeah.
so we're watching The Circle. Actually, it's because also we watched Sexy Beasts, and that was very quick, but that was very disappointing. And
Mm.
then I was like, "Ah, if I want a good reality show, then I'm gonna go back to The Circle."
I'm hoping that they'll progress to the next evolution of those shows and have like sexy face off where you try to win a date but you must prepare your makeup and it has to be some sort of sci-fi whatever makeup.
So it's a combination of a
Sexy
makeup
beast
show and
and
yeah, yeah,
face
yeah.
off.
Because Sexy Beast, there's no was this you just have these really talented makeup people behind the
Hmm.
scenes. You never see them in anything like that. Mitch is like new mic. No, it's my laptop mic. That's funny. Might be your earphones, Mitch,
Might be your earphones. The
because we've been doing this all week.
lower tone is more detailed. Interesting. It's also
Oh,
possibly because there's no
oh.
fan,
There's also no fan in the
so the audio
background.
is picked up better.
We have the AC on low just to avoid humidity. Because, admittedly, it's like hard to work without AC. And then like, I'll pay for it. That's fine. Not a full disconnect. So I
Yeah,
don't know which platform that was. If you can still hear us, let us know. Our signal is yellow, but we are reconnecting.
when it's not AC, it's hard. Let's start the show.
That should that be on my pet peeves list? You know, Toby puns. They're like a
Prepare the intro.
fine, fine. It's a good thing I love you. Oh, where'd it go?
Hey, RJ.
Stuck sa Facebook. Yeah, moving on. Okay, video dropped on YouTube. Also dropped in both. Okay, so then we'll see how long this episode goes. Admittedly, the rain has been affecting our internet quality all week. So, yeah, fingers crossed. All right, we'll roll credits.
Oh yeah! Really great!
This is Toby.
And this is Rocky.
And if it's your first time here, welcome to Baduy Pride, a little space on the internet where we talk about anything we want.
It's completely unscripted and not entirely accurate, but at least it's honest. Join us as we talk about everything and anything random live.
And if it's not your first time here, thank you so much for joining us again. It's a Friday, so it tends to be topics that are personal in nature, and nothing gets more personal than your pet peeves.
I thought you were gonna say the dating, but no, it's your pet peeves, which is probably more true in our case.
In this case, though, we are focusing on pet peeves during dating.
Yes,
Because if it were just pet peeves, it will last the entire month.
it's like number one, confusing quarantine definitions. Anyway, so yeah, so and again, this is just like our pet peeves. Naturally, I'm sure yours are different, and we would love to hear from all of you. Like, what are examples of pet peeves that you and okay, the funny thing about pet peeves, I think, is sometimes it surprises us. Like, you may have your things that you think you don't like, but then
Mhm.
there will be just things you encounter in the process of meeting new people, and then it's totally like, oh my god, I totally don't like that. So I think that's always the interesting thing. There are things you will learn that you cannot stand once you encounter them, even
Mhm.
though you've never thought about them before. Toby has a definition ready. I'm going to let him go.
I only prepared it just in case someone asked.
Please, just go.
So, pet peeves, which basically means to have an annoyance that you just can't help but feel annoyed about, is said to have originated in the United States in the early 20th century. It's derived by back formation from the adjective peevish, meaning ill tempered, which dates back to the 14th century. The term pet peeved was introduced to a wide readership in a single panel comic strip, The Little Pet Peeve, in the Chicago Tribune during the period 1916 1920.
Wow.
The strip was created by cartoonist Frank King, who also created the long running Gasoline Alley strip.
Okay. Okay.
So he covered basically the concept of different annoyances, and it was basically humorous critiques of generally thoughtless behaviors or nuisance frustrations. Examples including reading the intertitles in silent films aloud, cracking an egg only to smell that it's gone rotten,
Okay. Yeah.
backseat drivers, and rugs that keep catching the bottom of the door and
Ooh.
bunching up.
That's annoying. Okay.
So there. So
But I like the aspect of which is generally thoughtless behaviors
Mhm.
and nuisance frustrations. I mean, like, because a lot of times people aren't even aware
Mhm.
of these things, and they're not. Admittedly, they're not inherently bad
Yes.
when it comes to dating. I mean, you can't people can't choose who they are and like what they do. But I mean, to some extent. But then you're going to encounter a number of them.
Mhm.
So I guess I can start that one of my main, I don't know if it's a pet peeve or a non-negotiable,
Mhm.
or it's like, I mean, as much as I want to be like open and super open-minded when meeting new people and all that stuff,
Mhm.
but communication skills matter a lot
Okay.
to me. And I don't mean fluent English. I mean fluent in the language you are choosing to speak in.
Mhm.
So if you are not super fluent in English and you're going to try to speak straight English, then it's painful. It's
Mhm.
painful. I cannot imagine talking to this person for long, and then the night just drags on, and I will code switch and try to match
Mm-hmm.
or switch to a language. Like I'll switch to Filipino if it makes them more comfortable and tries to get them to like feel free. But then you'll get those that will insist. No, they're
Mm-hmm.
gonna keep going, and then like oh. So yeah, I mean like I have to admit that that's it. Com skills. That's my number one. That's
Mm-hmm.
like I can't.
I I guess I can relate to that in the sense of when you can tell someone's, what's the word? It's
Lying.
not trying hard, but it's um, insisting that they're doing it right.
Oh yeah
Because there's
yeah.
a difference. There are people who will try to speak in a certain language in a certain way, and it doesn't feel like a pet peeve when you hear that because you know it's part of how they want to develop or
Yeah,
grow.
it's a skill versus will sort of
But
situation.
then when you have those who,
Think they're as we like to joke at the office, they're the bee's knees, the shiznit,
Mhm.
they the bomb.
Now on a
Yes.
related train of thought, I also really hate people who insist they're doing everything right.
Like what? Like in the context of a date, how does this come up?
So something it could start something as simple as they order something wrong and then no, I really plan to get that,
Oh, okay.
or
Oh,
they'll do
yeah.
something wrong. I know actually in our place we do this, and you can so tell that that's not the
It's
case.
that defensive
Mm-hmm.
rationalization, and then like because they're always trying to be like best foot
Mm-hmm.
forward. I mean, to be fair, dating is a very unique
Mm-hmm.
social interaction because I mean we all love the National Geographic videos of like the birds with the feathers up and like going like hoo, hoo, hoo. But that's essentially what's happening in dating. It's just a different social
The
posturing.
birds with the feathers up.
Hey, that's what I think because dating is a mating ritual, and I love the super fast.
The flare of the feathers.
Yeah, and then see, Toby gets me. Toby gets me.
I have
Okay,
thoughts.
you can imagine the bird.
Yes,
You can
but
imagine.
I like the one
What is the
where
color of the bird?
I like the one with the white feathers, but I like the
Okay,
one with the bird on the top of the branch,
okay.
and then the others are down there, and then the one down is trying to impress the one up there, and the one up there is
Ah,
just meh. Okay, next pet peeve that I will cite: um, eternally endless, boundless energy,
explain.
where everything is always high energy.
Oh,
You
okay,
know, I
okay.
mean, it's nice. You know, you first meet, oh my god, hey, and then everything is like that for the rest of the night. You know, shall we get ice cream? Oh my god, ice cream! And then shall we try the car? Oh my god, you have a car! Parang layer levels. Let's have levels. Let's not be like fully caffeinated for the entire thing, even before we have caffeine.
Let's not be a preschool show character.
Oh my god!
Like,
According to Noel, Jan energy,
oh,
Jan.
oh,
Okay, so
oh.
let's not be. Yeah, that's the pet peeve. Jan energies.
Oh, you're
It's hard.
don't brand
It's
it.
hard when you are dating someone who's like Janergy all night.
Okay, and to be fair, let's go season 12 Janergy, then All
And
Stars
even more
Janergy.
frustrating is when the Janergy is present regardless of the emotion.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So it's
yeah.
excitement, it's Janergy. But then it's disappointed, it's still Janergy. Oh my god, I really wanted sana ganyan and blah blah blah. And you're like, okay, I get you're disappointed. Stop na. Oh my god, are you bothered na? I'm so sorry. And
Coincidentally, Mitch brings up how about having a Janice from Friends, and your intonation was approaching that range of an oh my
that's the funny
god.
thing though. If it were like Janice from Friends,
Okay,
in as much as it's a pet peeve, still fun to be with
you'd still
because
survive
there
it.
are those roller coaster
Yeah,
moments.
it's a because to be fair, Janice is still a layered
Hmm.
personality, and then but yeah, when you have the super cheerleadery, and I don't know if it just feels very
And
insincere.
I think the thing about Janice from Friends is there's a back and forth. There's a
Ah ah,
response to
yeah 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 yeah.
what they receive.
It's like it's all in the lens of Janice,
Hmm.
but there are degrees of like it makes sense how she
Yeah,
reacts to things.
yeah.
Okay, okay.
Kenny shares.
Noel also says
Oh,
Janice had levels. Yes.
yes. Kenny shares, I don't mind my date doing most of the talking, but a major pet peeve is when the date cuts me off when I talk.
Ooh, that's a good one. And Kenny suggested this topic, and like,
Mm,
and we get, and it's worse when not only do they cut you off, but they either try to one up you
mm,
or correct you.
mm.
I mean, like, it's okay to like, I mean, if the person's really wrong, it's important to find a way to politely, tactfully, bring up the
Mhm.
contrary opinion. But then, yeah, if it's a straight up cut off and like, ooh,
And
that's
and
harsh.
I think it's for me that triggers when it happens too often.
Mm,
Because
mm,
it's normal for sometimes interruptions to happen because you're excited about something,
yeah.
or you're both now getting into the moment and you're like throwing things around and cutting off each other sometimes. But then if you notice it's always happening, then that's when it starts to become something that has to be talked about.
Or you just go away.
Mhm.
Go away. Okay.
Mitch shares, oh damn, yung laging kinokorek ka.
Yep. Oh, you're reading Mitch now. Good job.
Yes.
Reading Mitch is a skill.
And there's versions of that, right? There's the one who'll always cite how you're wrong, but then there's the one who always repeats what you said. And I know that there's the way to do that to make sure you understood things. But
mm-mm.
there's the way also to do that because they're checking if you said it right.
Oh. I mean, like one could because one leads in with the actually, actually, the blah 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 blah
Parang,
blah.
so I'd like to have pizza with pepperoni. You know, a pizza with pepperoni is better. Maybe I'll try that.
Okay. And I know some are trying to be subtle about correcting, especially when it's like things about pronunciation
Mhm.
or stuff. But then, I mean, like, decide if it's really the hill you want to die on tonight in this date, and then bring. I mean, like, again, as someone where language is one of my pet peeves,
Mhm.
but I don't bring it up. Admittedly, I don't bring it up a lot, especially if it's like consistent.
Mhm.
Mistakes. It's like, oh, then there's no hope here. It's like I'm not here to be your English coach, so I'm not gonna bring it up.
Mhm.
So then I pick my battles. Okay. Noel says major dating pet peeve if the guy comes late without letting me know. I think that's true. I mean,
Mhm.
like, what's this? Okay, to be fair, haven't dated in a while, but in the olden days of dating before
Mhm.
cell phones or before affordable cell phone plans,
Yes.
you make plans ahead of time and then you just gotta show up on time. And
Mhm.
then dun palang a red flag is like being late. But then but yeah, these days there's no excuse to like tell the person that you're not gonna be there on time.
Mhm.
And to mention it early. Don't mention it at the time you were supposed to be there and like, sorry, I'm running late.
Mhm.
Obviously you're late. But yeah, I get that. I get
Or
that.
worse, you're late because of your ex. And that's a pet peeve which Noel has shared. A pet peeve is bringing up the exes. I mean, come on, according to Noel.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's like
It's.
it's a delicate topic to
I
bring
can
up.
understand that they're wanting to like be more open or transparent. Na parang, hi, I'm sorry kasi gulo with my ex and ganyan ganyan. Okay na, enough na, change topic na. But then
Mm-mm.
if it's gonna be, kasi my ex and I had all these problems and it's a date. It's not a therapy session.
Mm-mm. And even on the lines of even if you need to bring up like, sorry, I just came from a breakup,
Hmm.
and then stop. Like, don't unpack it.
Don't unpack. Don't unload that moment. Worse, um, expect the other part to relate.
Oh
Na
yeah.
parang, did you ever get cheated on? Kasi ako, that's what happened to me last week. And wala na, that's downhill from there. It's not gonna go well.
Mitch earlier said one of the reasons when someone says, why di kayo ni someone and lahat na lang ng correct. Okay, okay. Yeah, it's like, how come you're not like, ano, okay, yeah.
Mhm.
And then also, a pen's major pet peeve, yun nag-guilt feels, especially sinabi niya, oh, I understand. And then later,
Guilt
nag-guilt feel
filled
ka
ka
kasi
kasi. Okay.
nakakareta. Okay. I mean, like, and I know that there are always gonna be weird things that come up in a conversation with a new person, which
Mhm.
is like what happens across dates. Um, and then uh what's this? But then like there's just sincere reactions, and then there's filler reactions, and like I don't know, they're just being polite and like ganun ba? I don't know. And like it just it's not a full on pet peeve, but it's like it's a minefield that they're not gonna navigate out
Now,
of.
the beyond personality pet peeves, not that we're done with it, but just so that
We're
we
never done.
just to make sure that we cover all the bases. There are also activity pet peeves.
Oh,
For
okay. Like
example, so you're in a date, you're having a conversation, but they're looking at the phone the entire time.
okay,
Diba?
yeah.
So parang,
That is the
yeah, yeah,
modern
I'm
problem.
so happy to meet you, and it's nice to be on this date. And I'm up here.
That's a pain. That's a pain. I mean, like it's um when Toby and I go out, that's how I look like now. So that we have license when you're already together, but then on a date with a new person,
Mm.
you gotta pay attention to the person and not show that you're clearly somewhere else. Worse if they're on a dating app while they're on a date, which I've heard horror stories
Mhm.
of. That you can tell that they're on Grinder or something. Okay. Um, Noel jokes, pet peeve for people for him is that he's vegetarian. That shouldn't be a pet peeve.
Mhm.
I mean, like it's a part of you, and they should respect that. If it's a surprise at the point of a date, then I don't know. Then maybe
Yeah,
maybe just
I could
forewarning
imagine it to be a pet peeve if you only bring it up.
as you're going out to look for a place to eat or
For me,
something.
okay pa yun eh. But as you sit down somewhere to eat,
Ayaw nga pala, I'm vegetarian.
so parang, oh, wait lang, so nasa 8 cuts tayo, now you'll tell me that. Diba? And related to that is parang, oh, so sa tayo kakain? Ikaw bahala. Okay, let's go to Shakey's. Ay, ayoko doon.
Kahit saan. Pero, hindi ko feel yun.
Oh my
Ooh,
gosh.
ooh, ooh. And of course, Noel agrees. Just looking at your phone while on a date is rude.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, like, if there are important messages, I mean, you can probably get away with things like, sorry, it's work. Sorry, family's calling, things like that. But you also, like, have to, if you're the person on the phone, make a good show of, like, sorry, I'm busy right now.
Mm-mm.
Like, can I get back to you? Things
Mm-mm.
like that. Okay. Kenny shares another pet peeve of his is love at first date when the date gets overly attached and active kayo na. Oh, that's valid. I mean, like that's a valid pet peeve. I'm not saying it's a valid
Mm.
activity.
It's
You
true.
can't. It's very hard to be like, oh, you think you're falling in love after this one
Yeah, I
encounter.
mean, there's romantic and there's, no mantic. Just no.
What? No man.
Automatic no.
This is right up your meme gun. Do you know Toby's meme gun? It's like
I didn't invent it, but you're like, meh, 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 meh.
Oh, Mitch, like love at first date is so Ted Mosby. I mean, ultimately, yeah, we can leave love
Mhm.
at first date in rom coms and sitcoms,
Mhm.
but in real life, it's just weird.
And me being the romantic, the endless romantic person, um, I do know I've had my moments of I think I'm falling for someone because of the first meeting, but if you bring it up,
Okay,
if you're like talking to the person you just met, I think I'm already falling in love with you. That
then that becomes a red flag. Red flag. That is totally gonna scare someone off right away.
Mhm.
Oh, Ethan's here, and then he says one time a guy asked to meet up at the mall. When we met up there, instead of going to eat somewhere or have coffee, he asked if I could go with him to do his chores, buy stuff. And oh yeah, yeah. I mean, like if he to be fair, I read an article or a tweet about they're trying to make this a thing,
Mhm.
like errand dates. But
Mhm.
I think you have to set the expectation ahead of time that that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Like you can't surprise people like, "Hey, you want to meet up?" and then, "Hey, I'm paying my Moralico today."
I mean, if it was something you both decided was the best given schedules.
Yes.
Parang, wala, I'm really busy. There's a window at gantong time where I'm gonna go do groceries. Is that okay? And
Mm,
the other person says yes, then it's not a pet peeve.
yeah.
But then if it's as far as you know, magde-date
Let's meet
kayo.
at the
And then
mall,
when you
and then
meet,
like,
oh yan, perfect, I can do the grocery na. What?
oh, it's like pipila lang ako sa Globe. Ah.
Kasi ikaw pa yung tagahawak.
Oh.
Can you hold it?
So yeah, I mean, like, and I think it just goes back to how dates need to be clear and
Mhm.
mutually agreed upon, and a date like a meeting needs to have an agenda in the sense of what are you gonna do? I mean, I think you can spring the surprise date later on, maybe not as a first date, but as a first
Mm-mm.
date, like I think you want it to be clear. Um, Oh my god. Noel's like, if he starts knitting on a date, yeah, that'd probably be bad. I think that would really insult the person because oh my god, are you so bored
Mm-mm.
that you brought out your knitting? That may be a challenge.
Let's go now to extremities or external things.
Extremities.
How do you feel about going on a date only to find out your date is like with a group of people, and then
Oh, I hate that.
so
I
parang
hate
you
that.
show up and you see ang dami nila and they're like, oh, sige, come here. I'm just here with my friends.
Yeah, I think that has happened to me. That has happened to me. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
supposed to meet someone and then like, oh, but it's like with his whole barkada and then okay, so we're not really going to get to know each other better. Instead, now I have to like um, put on fake smiles and try to get along with a whole group of people I don't
And
know.
that feeling that they're all judging you.
Oh
Because
yes. Oh
we know you'll
yes.
be judged. But to
Yes.
have it that blatant, medyo iba yun.
That's terrible. And yeah, I've had that experience where suddenly like, oh, we're this whole bunch of people and it's not even like they're the safety or they're like the chaperone in the
Mm.
background like they're at another table. No, it's worse when you're all at one table, you're doing everything together and like I thought we were the only ones going. So yeah. Well, I was like yeah, unless they say that they're meeting them in a party, which I usually just say no to that. Yeah, i
Mm-mm.
think i think it's difficult. I mean, because and call me traditional, but I think of dates as an opportunity to. I mean, ultimately, a good date is when the two of you get to talk,
Mm-hmm.
whether over dinner or after a movie or something,
Because
and
dates
then
ultimately are opportunities to get to know each other. And
yes,
unfortunately, for many, that becomes opportunities to show only the best foot forward.
Mm-mm.
Whereas the best dating is really, opportunities to literally get to know each other. Talk about what you're into, talk about your interests, not just what you think they're interested in hearing about you.
Mm-mm.
Um, but then if it's now becoming, a date is a chance to be in the firing line of my friends, then that's very different.
Yeah. And then to be fair, like I mean, so some could argue like what if the date is at as a club
Mhm.
where you're naturally going to bump into people? I mean like then it's just really a question of judgment of is that really the best date venue? Like
Or to the very least, will you all hang out there, or will
yeah.
you both move to one side to get to know each other more, and then occasionally head back to the group? Because just because you're all together in a club doesn't mean you're all beside each other in a club.
That's true. Although at some point in the night, it will feel like you were all beside each
Mm.
other. Okay. Ooh, Ethan shares. Got a date invite once, but before I went inside, saw an acquaintance outside saying he's also invited. Apparently, it was networking. Oh my!
Yeah.
Were you an open-minded date? That's terrible. I mean, like, and it's. I feel for people in multi-level marketing
Mhm.
roles and stuff. I mean, I know you gotta hustle, but you gotta keep your work life separate from your personal life. And please do not try to sell your dates on the, especially on the first date. This is not the time. This is not the time to
Then it
do
gets
that.
weird when it's like insurance or something.
Yeah, because insurance, you're gonna build a relationship and you're gonna meet each other on a regular basis.
Mhm.
They're gonna check on you. I mean, like, and they'll get all your personal information. Ooh, ooh.
How do you feel about going on a date and then in the process of the date learning they were like with your ex?
Define with
You know,
like their exes.
whether they're exes or whether they had a thing, but the fact is the person still brings it up.
I don't know if it's a first date. It's a weird thing to bring up. It's a like, hey, I did him too, and like, I mean, but I think it should come up eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's probably something that you'd want to clear up that, oh, actually, I also dated blah blah blah, and like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, but yeah, I guess choose the right moment if it's organic in the conversation, and I don't think you need to stress like, hey, we slept together. Instead,
Mm-hmm.
like, we went out or whatever. I think I don't know. I don't have a perfect answer for this. I
Mm-hmm.
cannot, but I think it's going to be awkward regardless. But in the long term, if you want things to progress, it has to come out. That's my opinion there.
Now, a recommendation, probably just a joking suggestion of one of our friends, was to bring out Red Flags. Red Flags is a party game. Oh, wow. The
It
lights are
doesn't
really
look
killing it.
red. Yeah, better.
But I really like our lighting now. It's like, it looks over, but it looks really nice.
Mm-mm.
But yeah, Red Flags is a party game, a game of terrible dates. You play it with a group where one person is the single person, and everyone else tries to propose possible dates for that person.
And
In,
then everyone beside them puts a red flag card
Mhm.
to say why the date is bad.
in this case, we're not actually playing Red Flags, but we will be using the cards to talk about possible pet peeves.
It's hard though. I was trying to look at them now at random, but then
Mhm.
because they're so vague, and then like it works in the context of the game, but a lot of them are unrealistic things or
Mhm.
imaginary things. I mean, like in terms of the good stuff, you'll have things like he's won a Medal of Honor, but also can talk to animals. So that's how the game goes. But okay, so random red flags. Ooh, okay, Toby. Red flag number one: always picking their nose.
If they clean it after, then I'm fine with it.
Clean what? Their finger?
Yeah, because maybe they just really have a bad nose day.
Okay, but it's an
But
always picking.
But if they're always picking and then they flick it,
or,
or
or it's the subtle their hand disappears under the table.
or worse, or worse,
Do they ball it?
the
No.
because there are people who do that.
That's true. Taste your
Um,
own.
I will immediately stand and say, "Nice to meet you." Erase my number.
Okay. Generally hosts no, regularly hosts parties for dolls. I think if they're Barbies, I'm not so bad. If they're porcelain, run.
I'd run either way.
Burps and blows in your face.
Only for relationships, not for dates.
That's true. That's true. Peak relationship energy is when it's like, I'm gonna fart, I'm gonna fart, I'm gonna fart, and then sorry. um,
Hygiene in general is a must, according to Noel. Yes.
oh, okay. This is something to talk about. Super clingy.
What's your first sign of a super clingy person?
They try to hold my hand very early. Like there's a lot of touching in the beginning, and I'm generally, as much as like in my adult gay life I have become a hugger,
Mhm.
but I don't think we're at the type that we're constantly gonna hold hands or anything, or there's
And
constant physical contact.
admittedly, first date.
Yeah, it's like there's like you got a bubble around each of you, and like you just respect.
And okay, being very blunt about it, even if it was like first date, first sex thing, holding hands isn't really what tends to happen.
Yeah,
If it
yeah,
was
yeah.
first date, first sex thing, it'd be bye, it'd be hugging, kind of getting the. Parang do they mind physical contact?
I mean,
Because
like a
there's,
first, a
there's an
first,
intimacy to
yeah,
hands. Eh.
a first date, if it goes really well, could end with holding hands.
Mm-mm.
That's like, oh, it's
Mm-mm.
like it's not a kiss, but it's close.
Mm-mm.
But then, if in the middle of everything, it's always like all the oh, when they're across the table, and
Mm-mm.
then and
I mean, okay pa sana if like a wingman tells you parang, "Uy, look, you have the tattoo. Tinan mo, meron din ako." Oh." Di ba, Noel? Anyway.
subtle as a ton of bricks. All right. Um, um, Japes is here and he says hugs are fun. Okay, that's fine.
Mhm.
Noel's very touchy if I like the person, but more flirty touches. And I think yeah, you build up to it. You don't out of the gate like grab them.
Okay, so Kenny feels that for him, he's the opposite. Holding hands are okay in the first date, Are you talking about the end of the first date or within the first few minutes of meeting?
Yeah, it's like
Then he mentions hug is too much.
okay. I mean, like I wouldn't besos. I don't know. I would probably beso maybe on a date if
Mm.
you. But it depends. Like if it's a blind date, no beso. If you've been talking online for a while, maybe beso
For me, beso is like the kiss of death of a date
because it's very
because it's
friend.
friend already.
That is true. That is
Unless
true.
the beso was a fake beso because you wanted to smell the person. Because there is that, the beso pero
I have never thought of trying to sneak away to smell the person.
it happens to me. When it happens to me,
Okay, we should be coming back. I mean, like, one of our first car ride together, and then like, hey, your hand smells really good. It's a random thing to say, but his hand smells good. Okay. Um,
yes, correct.
Backseat driver came up also in the article. I
Mm.
mean, that's number one. If you're on a date, and if one of the people in the date is driving, the other should not be in the backseat. No, that's weird.
Well,
To be literally a backseat
yeah,
person
but then at the same time, backseat driving, meaning the person is passenger seat and
is
giving
always
commands.
telling you, yeah.
So it's scary when you're driving and the other person's a backseat driver.
Mm.
But then it's worse when you're both in the backseat and the guy's still backseat driving the Uber driver.
Oh, yeah. Then I hate it when they start arguing with the cab driver. I mean, like it's one of those. Do you really want to show this side of you now? I mean, like it's important on all that, and then just think about it.
Notice I still say Uber, not Grab. I
Yeah.
still miss Uber. I
Yes.
still want Uber to come back. Uber was Uber.
Only speaks in horrible puns. Only. Only. Obviously, I have no escape here. Like I ended up with Toby, so
Only.
please, there are nights you're on a roll. It's like
That's true.
everything you say is going to try to be a pun, and then you only slow down, and that's when I call you out. Like you're trying to think of a pun. You're trying to think of another thing to say. Okay. Oh, red flag refuses to delete online dating profile. I guess this is funny to come up this early. Uh,
I don't know if that's a red flag because I don't see it as something that should kick in or matter while dating.
yeah, this is a relationship
Yes.
red flag, not a dating red
Yes.
flag. Oh, I guess swears you look exactly like their sibling, but says it's a good thing. Yeah. Yeah, that's just wrong. Ooh,
Excuse me.
this red flag is
Not in dating, but
okay.
I've had people say I do look like my sister,
Yes, I know.
and I don't see it.
I don't necessarily see it either. Okay, and of course you have the everything about smell. This is worst smelling person in the world. Let's talk about smell. Smell is like I don't need people to. Okay, I don't like the extremes. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
if they wear too much cologne, I will.
Mhm.
You will know because I'll probably start sneezing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm very sensitive, especially if it's a floral scent. So that's bad. But then also, if they don't smell good, oh my god,
So,
this date needs to end.
so the cologne thing, and this is just one anecdote I'll share. So there was this date I once had that led to something
Mm-hmm.
for one time thing.
Okay.
And the reason it was a one time thing was the date itself, parang, okay, has cologne, that's not so bad. But it
Okay.
was also a heavy day. We were kind of tired and traffic, so it's slightly sweaty and all that.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it was a good thing. One thing led to another, we fooled around, had fun, and then freshening up, 8 squeezes. So it's like squeeze, 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 and then squeeze, 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 lakad, 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 and then squeeze, squeeze. And I was like, what? Are you fumigating?
I was taught, growing up, I was taught that it's like
Mm-hmm.
this one, which is like rubbed
Nail
together.
in the
Nga eh.
cross, nail in the cross.
Wow, the level of Christianity in your family is like it's a thing.
And then,
And then the dabs, right? And then
Mhm.
maybe here or something, but like that's like super weird. But But yeah, it's like this and this. That was like the only place you need to put cologne.
Noel shares once dated twins
Ooh,
separately. And on the second twin, I said, wait, we already dated. How do you not remember?
oh my god, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
But were they identical or did they just look alike?
I
Because there
guess,
are some twins that are
yeah.
just fraternal
Mhm.
and they look alike, but technically they're not identical, and then it just messes you up. Okay, and then, but yeah, smell is like, okay, to be fair, I think smell is almost number two for me behind communication
Mm.
skills. Like, if the person doesn't smell good,
And it's
I'm
hard
I'm
to,
gonna
ano,
die.
and
Whoa, lightning.
it's hard to be okay with a smell if it's already hit you bad.
Yes,
So like even
yes,
if let's say the person smelled funny because they overworked, didn't shower for a number of days,
yeah, or like the MRT was
and
bad. Commuting was
and
bad.
and it really hit you in a bad way.
Mm.
Later on, even if they've showered and all that, you still
You
sort of pick it
remember the
up, and
smell.
it doesn't change your perspective anymore. So it's tricky. It's a chemical reaction, I guess, and that's why it's hard to just change your mind about it.
Yeah, yeah. And I know, like, okay, and then, like, as liberal as we are, we've had fun with
Mhm.
some friends, if you get what I mean. But we were also the kind of people like, you want to shower?
Mhm.
Because it's wow.
And
Wow.
you want to shower, still acceptable. But
It,
if it's a no,
like, I can distinctly hear Toby's saying something like parang mukhang paa or something. I don't know. Like, the paa statements come out,
hindi
things like
naman
that.
this smell yan.
But there are people that Toby will judge as mukhang paa.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. So, try to smell is okay for the day. It's okay that over the course of the night, like, I mean, we're human, we produce smells, it's
Mm.
gonna happen. But you gotta start strong and then, like, recover later. And if things are gonna lead to anything intimate, shower
So
first.
Noel mentions a name. I'm checking
Okay.
if there's a face we can place to it.
Ha. Kenny also, because his asthma gets triggered by strong cologne, then he can't take it. Yeah, but man, it is funny. Your eight spray person. It's like, wow, that's a lot. It's like, please, it's sort of the cologne equivalent of toothpaste. Like,
Mm-hmm.
toothpaste commercials tell you to make that swirly symbol
Oh, there you go.
your across a toothbrush, when
Mm-hmm.
in fact, if you read the instructions, you're only supposed to
A
use
pea.
a pea size amount.
A pea.
And then, same thing, I feel like things like years of Axe body spray commercials and the like, telling you to, like, shua, and like, no, no, no. Oh, this one doesn't understand your jokes. Toby, thoughts?
I wouldn't count it as a pet peeve, but it's definitely a red flag.
Ooh, that makes it more serious.
Yes.
Because, yeah,
Because
because
pet peeve is nakakainis naman to.
yeah, yeah.
But then if it doesn't understand my jokes, medyo intelligence level na
Well,
yung
that's why it's
pinag-uusapan.
red flags. But
Diba?
I agree. It's like, when they don't get it,
And
when the stuff just goes over their head, and like,
and
oh,
again, that's not that the person's bad.
it's
It's just
just,
bad for me.
yeah, it's just like, we're not gonna connect in this way,
Mm-mm.
and it's a pain. Which is why, like, like, when Toby and I first met in person, I think it was surprising at the way the
Mhm.
conversation went. And there's like, it's like we super jive. And
Mhm.
I mean, like, if that's your contrast, your flip side to it. Like, when it works, it works.
Mhm.
But if you're going to encounter people like that, and then you hope maybe it's just tonight, or maybe I just shouldn't talk about this, whole topic of conversation. But still, it's like, I don't know. It's like, get out, get
Mhm.
out. It's an automatic lock in. Get out.
Mhm.
Okay. Can't keep a job longer than 20 minutes. Yeah, this is a
Well, we
red
can we
flag
can
card.
reduce that to can't keep a job.
Oh, like, it's like a series of unfortunate events story.
Mm-mm.
Um, I don't necessarily think it's a pet peeve. It is a red flag.
Mm.
It's like, oh, that's gonna be a problem.
Yes.
I mean, like, as much as you want to say that love transcends all, and, if you really like the person, it doesn't matter what they do. But I think that, in order to be an adult relationship, it's hard when, uh, the degree of like income disparity is that bad.
How do you feel though, in general, about people who can't get a job or don't have a job but are very actively dating?
Um, Personally, I feel it's irresponsible.
Hmm.
I mean, like, because then how are you gonna afford? Dating is expensive.
Yes.
Dating is expensive.
And
You're
unless they're like, rich family na, I don't have a job yet, but sige, I'll get 2 bottles of wine. And then
or
I'll
then
pay for
like
it, don't
or
worry.
like the family driver naman will pick me
Mm.
up and like.
But then generally, that's not the case. Generally, the case is, yeah. So,
Then it's I don't know, and I don't want to say that only people who are earning income like.
we've hit 12!
Oh, hello everyone. I don't want to necessarily say that only people with income like are okay to date, but it's you're setting yourself up though. It's making things very much. It's making things harder for
And
yourself.
I feel like, um,
You're spending money you don't have.
yeah, and for someone who will be dating that person, I'm already foreseeing, okay, there will be these problems, there will be these concerns, priority issues, financial concerns. I feel like it's already a lot of work. And unless you really hit it off together, it's better to just say maybe not today.
Next red flag card has slept with literally everyone. Okay, what do you? And I guess that's a question of would you go on a date with like someone with a reputation?
I wouldn't mind
Okay.
unless they talked about their reputation
Oh, then
during
it's
the
like,
date.
hey
So
man.
parang you're talking to the person, getting to know them, and they're like, "Oh, I slept with him." Yeah. And then, si ganyan, friend ko, yeah, I slept with him also before. No, I, no.
Because then you feel like you're on the list. You're on the conquest thing. Jet's like, hook up lang for unemployed. O sige, fair. Fair. No, well, I think the longer you're single and the harder it is to date, and the older you are, it's also harder to find someone. You just tend to build up the idea in your head and set all these expectations.
Mm-mm.
That's true, though. There is some degree of truth to that, and
True.
it's hard to be super open about it over time.
Jed, Noel, open your heart now.
I know. This one's kind of weird. Again, describes all food as yummy yummers. So pa-cutesy people, I guess, is
Mm-mm.
a way of talking about that. Yummy yummers. Yummy tiddly num nums.
Okay, another pet peeve I can bring up is when the person you meet wants to date you, not because they want to get to know you, but because you fulfill a fetish they like.
Oh, oh, yes,
So there's
yes.
that, you know. I've always wanted to do it with a blank, and you're like, what? I am a blank.
I get that with like when I got to when I asked for time to try to date
Mhm.
again, and then there was that. I discovered, I'm still big, but I was much bigger before. And then
Mhm.
there was really you discover the whole chubby and chaser
Mhm.
scene, but I never felt good about it. Like, because it's always like, so you like me because of my body state at the
Mhm.
moment, and then it has nothing else to do with me. You just see a body type, and it's very uncomfortable. It's kind of creepy.
And again, just to make it clear, it's one thing to find someone attractive. It's
Yes.
another thing to fetishize that person in the sense that that's all you see.
Yeah, yeah. And it's in the same neighborhood as daddy chasers
Mhm.
when they only see you for your age. And it's like, and we get that. We
And
get a fair amount of
and your
that.
first sign is like within the first few minutes of the conversation, they'll already start asking if they can call you.
Can I call you blank? Can I call you daddy? Can I call you
Mhm.
can you be my papa
God
bear?
knows the number of times we've shut down people. Na nope, you can't do that.
No, it's like with the bizarre answer of may anak na kami. May official anak, you're not it. Yeah, you gotta earn that right. Okay. Oh my god. Okay, I'm not gonna read Noel's answer to Jet. All right. So, okay. Constantly taking selfies. Internet generation.
Yeah.
I mean, like on a date, I understand wanting to take a picture together or
Mhm.
taking a, dare I use the archaic term Wi-Fi together. I mean, it's the selfie that's the two of you. That's fine. But then if you're still like needing to update your social independently,
Mhm.
it is a little weird. I mean, like these things can wait for after the date.
Mhm.
Like if even if it's like I took pictures of my food and I want to post pictures of the food, I feel like you shouldn't take the time to update social during the date
Mhm.
unless unless this is how you met and this is how you connect and like it's an activity you share
Yeah, I mean,
maybe.
some do express themselves that way, that they finally met. Okay, well, and then have a social media blast that
Yeah,
finally met, blah 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 blah,
that's
and
fine.
that's fine.
But when it's like only it's like it's you're not involving the other person.
Yeah, or but when it starts becoming, you're now reporting how the date is going
Oh yeah,
because your followers need to know how it's going.
which is okay.
Then it's not the date anymore that you're giving the time
I
to.
find it very, and I will be harsh and say stupid when people like live tweet their dates
Mm.
and their Twitter profile is public, or even if it's not public, but because of how small gay social media is, it's like those updates are gonna get to the person
I
eventually.
I feel that people who do that, um, what's the best word? But it's funny because later on you'll see them complaining about how some people don't respect privacy or don't
Mm-mm.
have boundaries and this and that, and you're like, but that's what you do. So there's a certain level of karmic comeuppance that does follow.
Ooh, Noelle is like doesn't like people taking picture of their foods. I've become a food picture person.
Mhm.
But I will if it were a dating situation, I would ask
Yeah,
if
I,
it's
I think
okay.
ultimately a lot of these pet peeves aren't pet peeves if there is already a certain level of understanding.
Yeah.
But since we're talking about dating primarily, you're talking about strangers who
Yes.
need to find the time to get to know each other. So a lot of things fall under either oversharing or very selfish activity, wherein
Mm-hmm.
it's not about the two of you, but it's about one or the other person alone.
Okay, I like this card. Speaks with a constantly changing foreign accent.
I think I'll shift that to speaking with a forced
I
accent.
know that's what I wanted to segue to too. I love you. Okay, so there are people who dare I say try to twang. That's one. You know the type that they went to the US for the summer and they come back with an accent. Those
Mhm.
kinds of people. So there are people on dates that you can tell like they're putting on an accent or a persona,
Mhm.
and it's like oh boy, this is gonna be hard. It's like I don't know how I'm gonna get through this conversation. Um, yeah, it's like put on accents. I mean, there are some people who try to sound British or like
Mhm.
Harry Potter ish, and I don't get it. I don't get it.
Lightning just flashed.
The weather is judgy.
Jed mentions you have whole relationships documented on TikTok now. Yes.
I've seen things like that. Like it's really like, ooh, gonna meet a follower for the first time and all these things. It's like, oh, okay. I mean, like, I guess you don't want anything romantic to happen because you're posting it, but then you'll see that it becomes this relationship that ends in a matter of days or weeks because it just crashes and burns.
So Julius mentions even the hey mate, quote unquote.
Hey
I
mate, who
I
says hey mate?
I I'd hold back on reacting to that quickly. Only
Okay,
because I've always felt like sometimes people try to think of a catchy
that's
unang
true.
hirit. And
That's
I'm
true.
more open-minded pa na parang sige nga, let's see where this will go. Because I remember I sometimes tell you like how someone be like, "Ooh, board games. I'm a gamer," and I'm like,
Okay.
"Okay, let's try this." And then I'll throw in some games I like and ask what they play, and they'd be like, "Uy, paturo po," and I'm like,
Um,
"Okay, that's done."
I tried. Oh my god! When it's always the game question, then I before I know they're like if I'm really not feeling it, I'll be like, oh, we like this, this, and this, and this. What do you play?
Mm.
I know I'm sounding like a dick, and that's the point.
Me, I think I have shared more photos of board games
Then yourself.
than myself in many of the social groups,
Yeah,
because a
yeah.
lot try to sound witty, and I don't hold it against them at first, but it's a sobrang, uy, board games, baka maraming mga nakahubad, ganyan yan. So I'll just send actual board game photo. And then, ay, totoong games pala.
Oh yeah, or someone will joke about it being a strip board game, which is okay. I guess it's like, but I feel like you need to navigate that conversation and know when to bring it up.
I'm
Like
so
when
sorry,
to.
Noel. I read your post as, hey, mare, female horse. But I know that was matter. I'm so sorry.
Okay. Earlier though, and I think Noel captures it. Gets the nail on the head where he says every time a person is fake, it's not even a pet peeve; it's a
Mm.
deal breaker.
Mhm.
That's true. Once you figure that out, once you clearly identify that, oh my god, he's like super trying super hard, then it's
Mm-mm.
not going to work.
Although, again, I think I'm more generous. I think I like read the fakeness first as wanting to try, and then I'll give them a chance. And then I'll get sorely disappointed, and I'll be annoyed with myself that I gave the chance. And then I'll like
Okay.
block till kingdom come.
Oh, this one's quirky. Reads over your shoulder out loud. I think along the lines of like sometimes when you have to check your phone,
Mm-hmm.
but then sometimes you might catch your date trying to look at your phone and
Mm-hmm.
trying to see what you're doing. It's a little weird.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little weird. I mean, like that's on a pet peeve level. Like
Mm-hmm.
don't try to see. I'm just going over the really stupid ones. I like that is actually two kids stacked on top of each other in a trench coat. Ooh, I guess it's up there like super super racist.
Mm. Yeah, red flag, not pet peeve.
Yeah, red flag.
So other pet peeves can include smaller behaviors.
Okay.
For example, um, leaves the plate messy after you eat at the restaurant.
Mm.
So
Does not close the
yeah,
plate. Does not close
so
the
nakakalat
utensils.
everything. Another example, um, what? Um, unhygienic ones, like, went to the restroom, then you notice didn't wash the hands.
I feel bad with like I feel bad with really bad conversationalists. So
Mm-hmm.
like they bring up stuff that you're not interested in, and then when they do stumble on something you actually can talk about, then you can tell they get excited, and then that's it. It's
Mm-hmm.
like and they'll just keep trying to think of things on that one topic, and it's like, oh no, we can't just talk about this one thing, especially if it's
Or
very very
or
small.
get they get so engaged in a position that they have to push. So, like, you're talking about movies in general, and then he's stuck ranting how Marvel is better than DC. And
Oh,
you're now trying to divert to other topics, and he still keeps going
oh,
back there. And yeah, that gets annoying.
okay. Julia says on a date, I don't hold my phone. I leave it in my bag and put it away, which is
Mm,
like the right thing to do. I mean, like even just keep it in your freaking pocket and
mm-mm.
put it on silent or vibrate, and like only be bothered if later on.
Jed mentions overdressed.
Define overdressed, because like maybe they're dressing to impress. Although I guess it
Maybe they
depends on
came
the
from a
scale.
wedding.
I've heard that like statement, like, oh, he came from a wedding and decided to have a date with you right after
I
the
feel though
wedding.
that's sometimes endearing. Kasi
It's
parang, oh, you got stuck in the wedding and now you show up wearing that.
But then if they're still like super clean coming from a wedding, like I don't think you're at a wedding. I
Mm.
think you really dressed this way. Because if you really survived a wedding, which like ceremony and reception,
Mm.
then and like and you're in a suit, you're not gonna look your best after for a date. Okay. Um oh, Noel also said define. Really? Because some people are just stylish. I mean, like they dress a certain way,
Mhm.
and I say this as at work we just finished the master class for Tan France teaches style for everyone, And his thesis is all because style is personal.
Mhm.
So if it makes you feel good to wear it, then it's not wrong. That's just like that's just the basic thing. Like um wear what makes you feel powerful.
Mhm.
Wear, and so you won't necessarily agree on certain elements of style. So maybe it's in that realm. Like there are people who like might
Yeah.
be in a coat and stuff. And
And it's good for them, but it might be bad for the date.
yes, that's true. That's true.
Because it's sort of like how you have people who are confident and proud to wear underwear as swimwear. And sure, it looks good on you, but won't get my vote. I'll probably spend money and buy you swimming trunks. And, like,
Noel says that I guess post wedding you'd be drunk as fuck. That's fair. And it depends on like how good the wedding was. The worse the wedding, the more you may drink.
Mhm.
Ooh, brings X to the first date, which I've heard stories of, or like
Yeah,
because
because
they're still semi,
they're
they're friends.
friends, or
They may
it does
still live
happen.
together. They drop
I
one
mean,
off
I know
another.
I've had some of weird encounters in that way when I was going to Malate in the earlier years because I was hanging out with Tom, who
Yeah.
was an ex from my college years.
Yes.
So
Um.
okay, pet peeve.
Okay.
Um,
You have more than I do.
um, keeps playing specific music even if you're not in that same space. So like you're gonna have dinner or what, and then um, gets phone, plays, let's say Regine, and leaves it playing. So there's Regine music while you're in the date, and then you're like, why are you adding music to our scene? And you move somewhere else. You're trying to make out, plays another Regine song.
And it is a red flag,
This
Toby.
is coming from
It's a
experience.
red flag,
This
Toby.
is this was a struggle for me. This was
Trying to give a sign, and then it's gonna be like, ang galing niya, no? Then date Regine.
I was very afraid that if we had gotten sexual, I would suddenly become a microphone
Oh, that's like
because the high notes would. Yeah. So that was a weird date.
okay. Um, okay, Kenny says one common comment he gets from dates is that he overdresses. Let's unpack that, Kenny. Why are you like in a tie when you go on a date? Because to be fair, like I think if you're in a button down, that's not bad.
No, no. I think the real perspective there you have to consider is who are you going on a date with,
And what are you? What did you say you're gonna do?
because many of the younger generation for compared to us, for example, the fashion sense might seem overdressed for us.
Okay,
But that's what's comfy for them now. Because I've
Okay.
seen friends who are like they're in a beret with an oversized polo shirt and knee high socks, and I'm like in this weather. But then for them, that's their hip clothes, and I realized that's not so different from how we used to wear oversized shirts and baggy jeans, and our parents were like, "Ano ba yan? Ang laki-laki niyan." And so it's a generational difference in terms of fashion.
okay.
However, if it's not just that, meaning if you're dating someone of your same age range and you're
Level,
still being
wavelength of
seen
thought.
as overdressed,
Yeah.
then there's something to consider.
Noel says it's more just dress appropriately. So if don't be in a suit if you're going to the movies. That's my thought too. Like it depends on what you're going to do, what the
Mhm.
activity is, and like if you're going for a fun day at the park, because outdoor dates are in this pandemic season. But then they're like I don't know, yeah, and like even a button down might be kind of weird
Mhm.
depending on the weather. Okay, um, uh,
Jed mentions.
bitching too much about the restaurant or the place or the prices.
Mm.
Yeah, that's like weird.
I allow that for the first few complaints, but then I always throw out then, sige, so where do we go instead?
Yeah, and
And
then
then
like,
if
what
the
do you want to do about it?
but if the person's like, no, okay na to, but then continues to like,
Ah.
yeah.
Kenny says pet peeve or maybe red flag is that the date doesn't have a social life. Define. What do you mean by not having a social life? Because admittedly, a lot of like I will dare say the younger generations, have a lot more online activity than we used to.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
that can count as a social life.
yeah,
On the other flip side, no, not really flip side, but another way to view it as well is, so that's your complaint is, it's like when people have job offers but they need experience before you can apply to the entry level job. Some people it's their first date, so I don't really think not having a social life is necessarily a red flag.
yeah, that's
It
true.
could simply mean they're finally trying to go out.
I'm with that. I'm with that. I'm with that.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, then we're back. It's not Regine going woo. It's Precious going woo. Okay. Yeah, so Noel reiterates it's important to have an agenda for the date so you know what to wear. I hope you know what to
Make
wear.
my checklist.
Yeah, yeah. Um
RJ shares.
taking too much time, sorry, looking at the menu and settling on the first thing he said.
Yeah. Yung, parang what do you want?
I
Do you
don't
want
know.
pizza?
Uh-huh.
I don't know. And then after 20 minutes, sige, I'll get pizza. And then as you order it, but I don't know if I really want pizza.
A date is not a time to be super picky about food. I mean, like
Yeah.
if you're smart about a date, then you choose a place that both of you are familiar with,
Mhm.
and then you kind of have an idea what you're gonna order.
Or you embrace the fact that you're choosing to be adventurous. You tell the other person, sige, you know this place, let's get whatever, I want to check it out. And
Mm-mm.
then you honestly share what you think about it. Because
I just read Noel's question. Do you share food on a first date?
I always share food on the first date.
I don't like sharing food.
Period.
Period.
We're how many years now and I still can't share food with you?
Toby's now doing the reverse. He keeps trying to give me more food. It's like I've divided the food na nga into the middle and the plate.
And then I'll
And
rotate
then
them.
he rotates the plate. Or he keeps moving the stuff he's eaten to my he's not yet eaten to my side. And like
Why, you don't like my
I
food?
see, then he tries to counter with that. He tries to counter with like, "Oh, I don't like my eggs. Okay, wait, RJ had a few that he's been bringing in. Okay. So um okay, Noel sorry added bitching too much about anything. Yeah, if the person's very negative, it's a major turn off.
Mm-mm.
Okay, and then talking too much about himself and not bothering to get to know me. Oh, when it's all like they're just telling stories about it. Oh, when I was ganyan ganyan, and then when I ganyan ganyan. Yeah, that can be like, and that falls into the realm of bad conversations. Like they can't read the situation. They can't read the social cues. They don't know when to let go of the mic, so to speak. And yeah, that's a pain. Um, and Mitch is like, really, Toby, ice cream? Would you share on a first date?
Okay, it's not that I don't share. It's just that I didn't realize I had to share.
See, no, that's the same
No,
thing.
no,
That's
no. There's a difference
no.
because
If you don't, because he thinks that a six scoop thing is a single serving is for one
no. Let
person.
me rephrase that. A six scoop thing is something I can eat alone. But if you wanted to share it, then we can share
On
it.
a date, should you eat it alone?
Why not? We both have six scoop somethings.
So weird.
I share.
So weird.
I just was surprised that you wanted to share it.
Begrudgingly. I think, was this the first time you ever had to share a King Kong?
Yes.
See? He just doesn't think it's sharing. It's for
Because
sharing.
yeah, because in the past I'd have a King Kong and then friends would like they'll have a banana split, they'll have a sundae, and I'm enjoying my King Kong. Rawr.
Why did he roar like a dinosaur? Okay. Noel, have a food buffer. Of course, remembers Joey's episode. Joey doesn't share food. Yeah, when we saw that one, Toby just looked at me and like, okay, fine. Okay. Ooh, this one's tricky. Only speaks in buzzwords. So, how do you feel about people on a first date who can't stop talking about work?
I think that's fine. compared to
But what if you're not interested?
people who can't stop using hip words.
Yeah, I think that falls into the category of when I know that they don't they don't really have a good mastery of the language, and then there are words that just stick out and like what you know,
Mm.
which like in writing would be like I would joke are shift F7 things. It's like they use the thesaurus on word to replace things to
Mm.
replace a word outright, and it becomes unreadable. You know, that's it's just it's a Joey thing too. So uh, uh, yeah. But I don't know. But I like on a date, the same. I think the talking about work thing might be similar to like RJ's statement about when
Talking
they
about
talk only about
themselves.
themselves. Yeah,
Mhm.
because then if it's all about that, and if the other person can't really contribute, it's not a great
Yeah, I
topic.
think it boils down to, is the conversation a conversation, or is it a talk and you are just listening to them?
Mm, mm.
And that's where it changes.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing wherein you're both talking about work and sharing how you both hate it, and but it's another thing talks about work and you're like, so what's nice to eat here? Yeah, pero grabe yung overtime namin the other day. Ganyan.
Or like because my boss, you know, we have lunch here regularly and ganyan. I brought clients here before and blah, blah, blah. Jet's like the king does look at 2% dish. Maybe not before. Maybe not now, but it did before.
Well, I'm parang two persons naman.
Wow. Wow. Like, this is definitely pet peeve territory. Always wearing a Bluetooth headset. Oh my god, when they invented those one ear things.
Mm.
There were those people that you constantly wearing them.
Mm-hmm.
I could not understand how people could wear them to the bar. Like it's a noisy club. And really, you're still wearing a Bluetooth headset? You think you're gonna take a call at midnight in this noise?
People are people.
Which is a store that is surprisingly still alive despite this pandemic. But it's just it and I know it was a flex before. It was I mean like,
It's still a flex.
it is
People are
yeah.
still doing it as a
To be
flex.
fair, because now it's AirPods.
Yeah,
Now it's
exactly.
AirPods. It's
Exactly.
the same category.
Before it was the 1,000 peso chinelas, and it
I could never understand Havayanas and all these things. Okay. Okay, it's like if it's used as an icebreaker, talk about workers. Yeah, if they constantly talk about, I think that's when that
mm-mm.
becomes very annoying. Noel's like, or
Kumbaga, tunaw na yung ice. Stop talking about work.
madaming tanong na parang job interview. Oh, I get that. Like, was this there are people like, and I feel bad because some of them are just bad at conversations. So they sound like a slum book.
Mm.
Like so what's your favorite color? Like what's your
Although,
most embarrassing
again,
moment?
I feel that
It's not terrible. It's
I
not.
feel that depends on how the drive is going. Because if the thing is going well, those become fun questions.
Yeah, but if it's just like they can't go like
Or
isang tanong isang
or
sagot.
if you're not even anywhere yet, and then it feels that way na,
Mm-mm.
then it feels very job interview.
Can't see. There's literally talks about only
Mm-mm.
themselves. Um, I don't know about the other things. Uh, keeps talking about someone who looks just like you, but like only better.
I've had that.
When they compare it
I've
to someone
had
else
that.
almost the whole
Remember, I
time.
had that person who was comparing me to a celebrity.
Ah, okay. Yeah. And I it's like
And then there was that feeling of, so is that some sort of fetish thing now?
mm, it definitely falls in that category of fetishization.
Mm-mm.
Argue about
Um,
splitting the bill. I, I I'm
okay,
I'm a
your view.
very modern person, so I enter a date assuming we split the bill.
Mm.
Like and maybe this is me coming from you're growing up, you are trained to think that a guy has to pay for the date. But this
Mm.
is also a heteronormative concept. So
Yes.
when you're both guys, then I'm totally like, then let's both pay for the date.
I prefer to pay because I don't want I don't want to feel I owed anything in a date.
But like, would you pay for both?
Yeah,
Yes,
in a date.
because you're a tahanan na bad.
No, it's
Money.
no, it's just
Throw it
that.
around.
Yeah, I don't want. So I don't want the hassle of parang okay. So how much? Let's split it pa. Um, or worse, because I've had situations we're in. So ano yung kinain mo? And then you ate more of that. So ano, I'll just pay for it.
That's
Um,
Toby's answer for many problems that involve money.
no,
I'll
it's not that.
just
It's
buy it. Just pay for it. I'm teasing, but it's true. All right, but yeah, but I'm a Dutch on early dates.
yeah. I never, and maybe it's just maybe it's a holdover from
You also come from the generation of the guy pay for the date,
and no
and
a
you've
holdover
dated
from
women.
from dating women a lot before I realized I was not straight. But it just never felt comfortable for me not to just pay the whole thing. I don't like money talk in a date. So the moment na it's gonna be an issue pa, I'd rather tapos na I'll pay it and get it out of the picture.
And we still have this problem. We still have this problem when we go out. And then,
Because you keep insisting.
huh? Because, okay, we have a budget. We've
Yeah.
worked out how the budget is split.
Yeah.
And so, like, I should be taking more meals
Yeah.
and grocery.
Yeah. So you can try.
Toby will try to talk to the waiter when I go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Because I've done the same. And, like, the worst is when I pay, and then Toby literally is like, here's my share, but he just gives, like, too much money. Like, he'll give a big bill.
Well,
And he'll throw it across the table because I won't take it.
well, it's because you won't take it. That's why you're changing the sequence. It's not that I normally throw money at you. It's I only started doing that because you won't accept it.
Because I said I don't have to take the money.
But you make it sound like I'm like throw money everywhere. I don't do that.
Okay, he throws money at me. We really have just bills flying all over the place.
When the waiter arrives, we're like, I'm paying that. No, no, no. Throw money. Don't, I won't pick that up. I won't pick that up. And then the waiter's just staring at us, wondering what's going on. And I'd be like, I'm leaving the table now. The money's there. I'm getting dessert somewhere else.
We're weird. We're weird in public at restaurant. You'll really see. I don't know. We have an odd dynamic. I'll admit. Noel says use Gcash, easy peasy to split the bill. And like I know there are even apps like make it easier to split.
So I finally have Gcash. I didn't want to have Gcash.
But I made Toby like, hey, look, Globe lets you renew your contract and they just give you money.
And
Because if you don't want to change your phone, just take the
Yeah.
money.
but I finally got Gcash. So now I'm annoyed because it feels like it's a wallet I can't handle.
What do you mean that they can't touch it? Do you want to like rifle through the bills? Do you notice? Have you know that most of this pandemic, I have had less than 1,000 pesos in my physical wallet
Yeah.
because I'm always Gcashing everything.
Or I give you cash.
Yeah, Toby was like, he's still throwing money at me. We've been stuck at home for more than a year, and then sometimes when we order stuff, and then you have Toby throwing money at me.
Because we're splitting the bill.
This is why I don't tell him when I transfer funds to his bank account. That's my new throwing money at Toby. It's like I tracked everything, and then since we have shared accountings through YNAB, and then he has to log all. We have to log all our transactions,
Mhm.
and then there are times like I can pay for this. Then I'll just put money into his account. And then if he checks, he'll see naman. There's like an audit trail. You can see that Rocky's account transferred to Toby's account. I know.
It sounds like a strip club.
It's not as sexy. It's not tucking in bills. It's really like no, and we'll sometimes tennis the money back and forth. No, I said I'm gonna pay for it. No,
Because it didn't work when I was like hiding the receipt.
yeah,
Like, how much the grocery? I'm not telling you.
because now you have to log it. Everything goes in YNAB. Oh my god, uses way too much time. there there are like bad ways to kiss. There are bad ways to kiss, and I don't. Depending on the situation, it could just be a pet peeve. It could be a full-on red
I'm
flag.
trying to remember the name of that person. Now we needed a towelette. Kasi
Slobbery.
parang naligo na after. I can't remember who that was. It wasn't, the person wasn't that bad, but
It was like
it really,
that was a bit much.
yeah, it really made the kissing something less desirable.
I didn't want to feel like I'm drowning.
Had you had a blanket, it would be waterboarding. Okay, let's now talk about. Um,
Oh my god, this is still my favorite red flag.
okay,
It's ridiculous because it's slept with one of your parents recently. It's so terrible. Or it's like it reminds you of the Inside Number 9 episode. Oh my god. Okay, okay. Oh, see, it's here. Live tweets your entire date.
when it feels like he's sucking your soul, or like you feel like you had a prophylaxis, so parang nalinis na yung teeth mo afterwards.
It's weird when like when they s- I don't I find it weird when they suck on your tongue and like really try to pull your tongue into your
Mm.
mouth and
Mm.
like
Because there's the delicate
yeah,
suckling,
yes.
but then they're sucking as if they want to swallow it.
It's like I don't want to give you my tongue.
Same with balls.
Where are we going with this?
Because there's delicate suckling, and then there's ow. I still want to stay full.
Or when they bite, not on the first date. Okay, begins every sentence with actually. Clutch phrases like this, it falls into the weird language situation.
So I know someone who's like that, even online.
Mm.
So parang any social media post, meron siyang display of how you're wrong as a comment.
Ah.
So parang it might be something like, I'm excited for the Dune movie. And of course, this is all fictional, so you can't like look at my social media post to see what it is. But the person might answer, "Well, actually, that's the third movie na." And yung parang,
I wasn't saying it's the first.
yeah, but I guess I'm wrong because you needed to correct me. And may ganun eh. There are people who always phrase things in that way, and it's
Yeah,
annoying.
that's a pseudo superior. I'm always correct kind of thing. See, it's like it says like all the time, like.
Parang that's not as prevalent now compared to
This was a '90s
yeah,
problem. This was a because like was
very
an old
Valley
clutch.
Girl, tama ba?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ooh, ooh. Um, I'm remembering this game
One time in
in
band
band
camp.
camp. Mm.
Okay, so in terms of pet peeves, um, let's open the floor to sharing, everyone. Name one pet peeve you think someone may have cited about you.
That's scary.
Mm.
Oh, that's scary. Is there a pet peeve you're guilty of?
Me, I think it's the sounding like I know it all.
I'm sure I've done that too.
I'm
sure I've done
certain
that too.
I'm certain there have been people who have gotten turned off that I sound very I know everything, because I do have the tendency to say things in that way sometimes, and it's something I'm working on.
Or even just
When I was younger, I know I was very very proud of my intellect, but
I
I've
get
learned
that.
to mellow down a bit.
Or there's just some people that when what's this, and it may not be about you, sometimes it's also about the person hearing it, and
Mhm.
whether it comes across as um they interpret it as like you're showing off, or
Mhm.
that you're reminding them that they don't know or are maybe less educated,
Mhm.
then yeah, it can become a problem.
Noel shares that
Ah,
he
smoke.
smokes. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've
that's
had I've
that's
had that
tricky.
too. When I was still a smoker, I've had people na parang, ay, you smoke?
Yeah, then it's such a
And I'm like, sorry, but then I'll try not to during the day. Um, but the smell really lingers longer than you think it does. That's one thing I really realized as I stopped smoking. Na, ooh, the moment you have one cigarette again, you really can tell that it stays with you.
as a person who is asthmatic and has been in relationships with smokers,
Mm.
it yes. It sticks. And it sticks really here. It's
Mm.
super here. And then I can taste it. And like I just got used to it. But then I can understand like it can be a bit of a turn off. Or like and I've we've had nights like we'll go out and then we'll come home, but then I'm like, you wanna brush your teeth?
Or
Like,
you smoke, no? I'm
uh-huh.
like, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's like when you went out and then I didn't, or like
Mm.
I was at work and then I come home and like, you smoked last night. And I'm like, yeah, it's I don't super complain about it, but
Mm.
it's like it's noticeable.
Julius shares pet peeve of being anxious on every day.
I think that's for you personally, but it's not. I don't think that's a pet peeve. It's just maybe an area that you feel like you want to do better at, and I am raised in the family school of thought that anxiousness, to some degree, indicates your desire for that you wanted to do well
Yes.
because it the outcome matters to you. That you
However,
don't want it to be
I
perfect.
will share that in my case, because I also was a very anxious kid before, and I still am in some instances. But the only way to really lessen that impact and deal with it is to make mistakes.
Yeah,
Because you have to like realize it's not so bad to
that it's
make
not
those
the end of
mistakes.
the world.
Yeah, and that's like the big fear. And parang, oh my god, nakakaya if I do this wrong. Do it wrong, let it happen, and then notice that afterwards it's still okay, and it loosens up. Eh.
But on the flip side, I will say, and this is probably a pet peeve for me, is
Mhm.
when people are overly apologetic. Like there's like every little thing na lang they're sorry. And then like even if like you correct them in a friendly manner, but they're gonna be super apologetic after.
Yes. And then they're sorry for being sorry, and then they're now sorry for being sorry about being sorry, and then it never ends, and then you just want to say it's okay, but you know you'll still be supportive, but it really does get tiring.
It gets very tiring, and it's not being humble, meek, or cute. It's just, oh my god, it's just very
RJ
sad.
shares that I don't put the chair back after you leave the table.
Oh, that can be a pet peeve. That can be a pet peeve for some people. I can be very particular about order, obviously.
I'm I have that sort of a pet peeve when you sometimes have guests and they feel too comfy that they just leave everything anywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Kasi parang it's one thing na sige feel comfy, then they'll put their bag there, they'll relax and stuff. But then parang you go here and then yung gadget nasa chair pero nandun sila. Tapos yung baso nakalatag lang doon even hindi so parang wait lang. Yeah, sobra ng comfy yun. So I hate it when that happens.
Mina is here, and this is not a. She doesn't have a dating pet peeve, but she shares that Ian hates it when, uh, fussing over unwashed dishes in the sink. So that's why he got the mini dishwasher. I think, Mina, you have won at that point. I congratulate you. I love your mini dishwasher thing. It looks super cute.
I will warn you now this early. Avoid trying or getting curious of the dishwasher cake recipes.
What?
There are dishwasher cake
That's
recipes
just
online where
okay.
you can use the steam and heat of the dishwasher to make a cake.
Some parts of life should not be hacked. That's all I can say. Okay.
Resist.
Kenny says, aside from overdressing, he sometimes gets comments where he gets cold all of a sudden working on this.
Mm.
I mean, like, it depends. I mean, I understand there are natural, like, lulls in conversation and how you guys handle that.
I do wonder though if it's a question of contrast. Did
Mm.
you get cold all of a sudden, or were you too warm at the start? So when you became
More
more relaxed,
yourself. Yeah.
it felt cold.
That's valid. I think that's it's something to think about. Like,
Mm-mm.
are you trying? are you trying a little harder at the beginning of the date for the first impression, and then later on, as you relax, the
That
contrast is so
so that
noticeable?
feels totally cold rather than relaxed because
Yeah.
it can happen.
I mean, like, and over time, as you get older, you just learn to like not care, and you don't put up as much of as a false front at the
Mm.
beginning, and you just try to be very yourself. I think that's like that's the one thing I appreciate about like the internet. Like there is this whole length of opportunity of like talking to the person before you actually
Mm-mm.
meet, and
Mm.
so it creates a different atmosphere when you finally meet in
Mm-mm.
person. Then you have a lot more to talk about
There's less
versus
ice to chip away.
yeah, because before like you kind of go in really cold, like you just know like very little about
Mm-mm.
one another, and you only have the date to discover
In
things.
some ways, I think that was why, um, in our younger years, people took the effort to write profiles.
Maybe
And
yes.
then now, parang to have a written profile, people are more surprised. Na parang, oh my God, you like really fill this up.
Mm-mm.
Because they're parang, why write it? They'll just
We'll talk
communicate online
naman.
and get to know
Yeah,
each
yeah,
other. And that feels alien to us na parang, I want to know who you are before I start talking to
and
you.
we always point back to it's in my profile. I don't have
Mm.
to answer this question. So, Noel. Well, this is a good one. Noel said it's mentioned off if they don't throw the trash, like when on a date after a movie and they leave their trash at the seat.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Oh,
Yes, we
oh.
judge people in the cinema who do that.
Toby audibly judges people like this in the cinema.
Mm.
And we'll really will you'll will sometimes if we see people leaving, I know we put up more of a show of like
Picking up stuff.
gathering
And then
everything.
there'll be some that get guilty, they pick up their
Yeah,
stuff.
because we'll be like, "Did we leave anything else? Anything else we need to throw?" We'll have parinig conversations like this, and then
Yeah.
we'll go to the and throw it at the lady at the
Although I
front.
still feel it was a lost opportunity when there was that annoying young girl and we weren't the one
Who
who yelled
said
out, "Find your fucking parents!"
best story? We were watching. I forgot what popular movie it was. We were at Glory. We were at Greenbelt. It
Yes,
was
Greenbelt.
Greenbelt 3 Fancy Theater, and then there was this girl was running up and down the aisle
Mm.
as the movie
And,
as the trailers were
and it
starting.
wasn't just a single time.
Yeah, it was like a good maybe 2 3 minutes
Yeah.
already. And finally this girl out of nowhere,
Somewhere
this
behind
lady,
us,
yeah, it's like find your fucking parents. And
everyone just cheered.
it was so good. Because one of those midnight screenings. It
Yeah.
was
And
so good.
well, it makes me feel that was probably someone who we could have hung out with.
Yes, yes. But then like it could be a minefield. We may stumble into one of her pet peeves and then like, who are these weirdos, you know?
And I think that's the bottom line when it comes to pet peeves. We eventually will all have something that's a pet peeve
For someone else.
that we'll see in someone who we meet.
Mm.
And interestingly, that the timing is a big factor. It might be something you discover about someone and you're good friends already. Or it might be something you discover at the point where you're just starting to meet. And that timing is big because when you're friends now or when you're in a relationship now, those pet peeves sometimes become endearing or
Hmm.
sometimes become amusing or becomes even a stronger reason why you're friends.
It's just a funny story between
Diba?
you.
Or like, normally I hate that, but with you it's okay.
Mm.
And it becomes a bonding thing. You become more open to it and you still don't like it, but you suddenly don't mind it as much.
If it's that person, yeah, they get a hall pass. They get a hall.
So that's the tricky thing about pet peeves when it comes to dating, because dating is a lot of first time meets, and I wonder tuloy because I'm not sure if we'll ever really have that experience of when we finally meet certain online friends we've never seen, but we feel we've known so much online, and when we finally meet them face to face,
There's
like a first date, we find those pet peeves.
yeah, there's still I know we've had more than a few situations where like online friend, lots of stuff. Then we finally meet up because they want to try games, and then it's like oh, I don't think we're gonna game with this person ever again. RJ shares, putting up their feet on the seat in front of them in the movie theater. Oh, that's bad.
Actually, for me, putting up their feet. I don't care if it's the movie theater,
Mm,
the
mm.
restaurant, um, I don't even care if it's the beach. You don't put your feet up in front of someone. If you're like, let's say, seated and you're not facing each other, you can put your feet up. That's fine. But like if you're with friends and then, parang no. Even if your feet look nice and smell good, no.
And I don't want to. I don't need to confirm if they smell good.
Yeah, I mean um
It's rude. It
yeah,
can be rude.
it's like it's like standing up to take your pants down because you want to fix your brief. You don't do that in public. I don't care.
What an example!
Yeah, but that's what putting up your feet is for me. It's parang it's a very
It's like scratching your belly. It's like the under your shirt scratch,
well,
or
yeah.
lift your shirt to scratch your
A
belly
small adjustment
situation.
is fine, but then if you like spend the next 15 minutes scratching your belly, don't do it in front of someone.
Yeah, yeah. With the Julius says pet peeve of keeping a checklist of pet peeves to see on a person. Um, they're not really pet peeves if you have to make a checklist. That's my feeling on that. It's like if you're making a checklist, you're really going in to be annoying.
Yeah,
Because I feel like instinctively you should know your pet peeves, and then you know if you need to be reminded of them. I don't know. I mean, like
you're
unless you're
you're content creating.
oh yeah, that's true. That's true. Oh, Julius is a nicer term for the stars moment. Commercial break. Yeah, we have these unexpected. Oh,
Oh, so the system knows in the future, ooh, sure, that we will have commercials.
I
So
should.
it's like,
So that do I have to go over the live stream and like set ad breaks at these
or
moments?
or whenever they happen, we should always go back with, and we're back, thanks to Black for our sponsor.
Thanks to redflagsgame.com
And
for
then once we actually have
red
sponsors, we can
flags.
then edit the video to insert the commercial in those spots every time it happens. Okay, so we've been talking about this for quite some time now,
90 minutes.
and um, I think it's a good time to start wrapping this up.
Yeah, plus we've like been disconnected a few times already.
Yeah. Um, where would you like to start in terms of wrapping this up?
Red flags are inevitable because in dating, especially because dating is a process of discovering things about
Mhm.
one another, and in the same way that choosing to live with someone is a whole experience of discovery, dating is definitely one of those
Mhm.
things, and um, it just becomes a question of uh, balancing things out or like looking at things from a holistic perspective
Mhm.
because again pet peeves are not always red flags,
Mhm.
right? And um, if you do decide to go on another date with this person with pet peeves and they still do it, you know, then you can consider bringing it up. But then if you go on like a third date and it's still happening, then it starts to become like a concern. Then you really just have to ask yourself, how much does this bother me?
Yes.
Like, is there other redeeming thing? Can I let this go?
Yes.
Can I let this go?
Is this a battle that I am, um, what's the word, sacrificing this altar of friendship slash relationship on? Diba?
Mm.
Parang, is this worth breaking that?
Yeah, yeah. Like the rest of him, the rest of this person enough that I still want to know more. I still want to see where it's gonna go, even though, he keeps getting food from my plate. I mean, it could still turn out well. To be fair, Toby didn't try to take food from my plate when we were just getting to know each other.
Yeah, I thought you were giving me food.
Okay, we were already together when that happened.
I thought you cut the bread for us. I was,
I
yeah.
did. You just got from the wrong side. Yours was the other half. Uh, okay. Mitch shares, did someone already share yung mayabang mahanga na, oh nga, yung new car ko, and then yung new phone ko, and like, yeah, that's like, that's approaching red flag levels to me. Like, if it's constantly about this gadget war, and like,
Mm.
And here I am with my aging S8. I answered a survey recently about something about is your what is your phone, and then is it a this or is it this or is it any other S series model below this? And like, oh, I'm already there, and my phone isn't that old, but that's whatever.
Mm.
Yeah, the status, the social status war is not something I'm going to engage in, and that definitely gets annoying. But yeah, okay, but that's like, so that's my thing. Like, that's my wrap up statement. Like, we can make pet peeves are funny in
Mhm.
some degree, but they shouldn't necessarily be a barrier if you really feel a genuine connection with the person. Because admittedly, there's some naman who like treat any pet peeve as a red flag, and
Mhm.
then they use it as an excuse to not pursue things. Like
Yes.
automatically, they're ending almost every single um, date, and they're never pursuing it further, and then they wonder why they're single because they're always finding these problems.
Mhm.
What about you? What else do you what's your wrap up?
I'm just more curious as to because we're seeing the experience from I guess you could say the filter or the perspective of our age and our expectations. And for younger people who are super social media savvy,
Mm.
I could just imagine that that's a whole new world of other pet peeves that are inconceivable for us.
I mean,
It might be something like um, stares into the camera during pictures. I mean, di ba? Because maybe
yeah,
they're more used to the picture dapat off camera, ganyan,
or
ganyan.
you're
And
looking off to the
di ba? So
side.
and
Are you
it
doing
sounds it
telenovela?
sounds like I'm making fun of it, but what I'm trying to say is parang it's a very different environment or expectation
A
that we
different like cultural
yes,
context.
that we don't really grasp. And I'm now curious to what those would be.
I mean, as much as we've gotten to experiment with some dating apps, but like I've never tried things like Tinder and the
Mm.
whole swiping
Mm-mm.
judgment experience, and I can't imagine what comes up from that. Like I don't know what what psyche that creates
Mm.
that the person you're going to meet is the person that you kind of liked and decided on
On
a
a
one
swipe.
second moment.
And what connects you is you both thought that.
Yeah, yeah. My
Diba?
closest, like the closest way I can relate to it, because only recently that I signed up for TikTok,
Mm.
because I'm trying to understand the platform. And it's scary that it's this endless feed of content. And
Mm-mm.
then the main signal you have to the app, if you don't like something, is to swipe up to get to the next piece of content.
Mm-mm.
So then I find myself like rapidly judging and like, don't like this, don't like this, don't like this, don't like this. And maybe I would give it more of a shot if I see it auto playing on Facebook or Twitter.
Mm-mm.
But then like that app experience alone, it's like it's very jarring. Then it had me thinking about things like Tinder where the swipe action is your main
Mm-hmm.
thing. Then what mentality does that create? So yeah, I can totally imagine that people, depending on generation, could have very different
Mm-hmm.
definitions of what pet peeves are.
Yeah, and it would be interesting to see that. Hopefully, or maybe someone who knows of a group or a younger creator who has made such a list, because I'd love to see that perspective.
Mm.
Um, it might not even be just limited to stuff they do in terms of on social media, but stuff they do in response to others' social media. So parang pet peeve, oh that person never likes my tweets or never I don't know, supports my streams on Twitch and yung mga ganon na
It may even be things like that. Those he does this weird thing where he puts his utensils together at the end of a meal.
or
Like, why do they do that?
or um doesn't change his nickname.
Oh, his social media name is like the
The
same
same.
forever.
Diba? And these are
There are no hashtags in his name.
so yun. So it's just I have that curiosity. I'd love to see that.
Yeah, that's an interesting perspective. Like, do the pet peeves change for the more digital native
Mm-mm.
generations? And I guess this is really more. We can't say millennial because technically, by some definitions, I am millennial. It's
Yeah.
really Gen Z and below.
And oh my god, it's been like beyond 20 years now.
Yeah.
So there was that statement na parang for me, I'm stuck in the year 2000. So like if we say 30 years ago, I'll think 1970.
1970. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I realize I do feel that type of a perspective. Na it shocks me to realize it's been 20 years since the year 2000. So like when I try to think like yung joke na parang a Final Fantasy game from 20 years ago, you're thinking the blocky, yeah,
FF6,
but
4.
no, it's like already 14 and it's the already realistic graphics. So parang what? Ah, ay nako.
I don't know. Like we're watching season 2 of The Circle, and then a certain celebrity came up, and like, oh, okay, that's funny. And then they're like,
No one knew.
and then it was, and then it cited that because he's like 40 years old now, and like, oh my god, he's 40. And then was their time as pop stars really 30 years ago? But then when you sit down and do the math, like, oh crap, we really are a different generation.
Mm-mm.
It's always. Noel says, I always tell people that he was born in the wrong era. Well, I think it just also just speaks to how quickly things change,
Mm-mm.
and especially with digital and all that. And so I feel like even people in their 20s already feel like they're in the wrong era versus those who are coming around the bend,
Yeah.
so to speak.
Yeah. Or old men doing a live stream. But hey, we're having fun. And we had so much fun tonight. We're so thankful you joined us, and we hope you'll join us again next time.
So, for questions or suggestions for future episodes, fill up the Google form at bit.ly Baduy Pride Ideas. Thanks again to Kenny for bringing this up and being the brave soul holding up YouTube mostly, like in terms of comments. Thanks so much for keeping the comment feed alive. Um, was this? You can follow us on Twitter, all Toby No Shade, RG Sunico, another surprisingly young platform that we're still on. And then
You can also check out our blog, badaypride.com, for all the previous episodes and stuff about us.
So feel free to continue the conversation in the comments below. Please tell us more about what are your dating pet peeves? What are the little quirks? And especially if you fall into that category that Toby was talking about, do you have weird new pet peeves that we have never encountered? I think we'd love to hear from you younger people.
He wears a watch.
Oh my god, that might be a thing. That might
Diba?
be a thing. Okay, he wears an actual watch. Okay. And then be sure to subscribe for notifications, whether on Facebook or YouTube, so you don't miss our next live stream. Once again, I'm Rocky.
And I'm Toby.
And this is Baduy Pride. Good night, everyone. I hit the chair. Oh.